if my phones are plugged in, I don't know if you can actually hear me, but I've got an invite link, so that's why I've got headphones. I'm just going to wait till someone requests the thing, which might even include reading a prayer book at this point. We have a King James Bible. We have something Hindu. We have a Baha'i prayer book. We have a copy of the Quran. We have a copy of the Kitab Aqdas, which the Baha'i and most holy book, which I thought was gone, but it was down the side of the sofa. We have some answer questions by Abdul Baha. We have an invite link. And we have a live streamer who doesn't know what to do and is hoping that there's audio, but doesn't know if there's any audio because there's no one here to tell me if there's any audio. Because on my last phone handset, when I plugged in my headphones, the audio didn't work, I think. Hello, can you please tell me if you can hear me? Just because I don't know if my mic is like when I'm attached like this. I just said a whole load of things and there was nobody here. I said I'm open to requests, including reading things or any other thing. I have selection books here, including the Quran, Baha'i prayers, King James Holy Bible, some answer questions by Abdul Baha, Kitab Aqdas, Baha'u'llah, a Hindu book. These are just the things I brought, and that person's gone. And there's a link to join the stream. And that's why I got my headphones on, because if somebody joins the stream, I'm going to want to be able to hear properly. Hello. I just have to repeat this every time somebody comes here. I'm taking requests, and I have books for them to read. Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to take the touch up off, retouch off. I used Audacity a minute ago, you know, Audacity. Nobody needs that, really. Nobody needs to hear me doing stuff on Audacity, is what I mean. Hello, Sandeep Singh. Hi, having fun. Having fun, dash in 321 says, I just trapped myself at Walmart. Is that actually true? I quite like that to be true. Taking a shit in the middle of Walmart. But if you shat yourself, presumably you were wearing trousers and then did it like roll down your trouser leg? Was it like turning on a tap? Did you actually pull your pants down and just take a shit in the middle of Walmart? Hi Sandeep, where am I from? Well, I was born in London and I live in Hertfordshire. Presumably you can hear me fine, just fine, right? Should I put retouch back on? I'm so ugly. Frugly. I saw someone the other day and they said to me he was my type. And I said, oh, usually I'm with Frugly. And he said, oh, I don't know who that is. That was quite funny. And she said, I don't know who that is, Frugly. Usually I'm with Frogly. Jamu. Fuck. Guys, I'm so bored. Peoples. That's not gender. I'm not going to gender everybody the same. Peoples of the world. How many people here wear a watch, like an actual wristwatch? And then on top of that, how many people wear their wristwatch? Bearing in mind this is a mirrored camera. And I just noticed so many people who do wear watches strap it to the left wrist. This is my left wrist. And I used to do that, and I still have to, because my dad did. My dad would wear it like that on his left wrist. And then I make sure I put it on my right. But I noticed a lot of people that do wear watches do wear it on their left. And I got like a kind of morality complex over it, where I was like, you should be wearing that on your right wrist, you know, just because my dad wore it on his left. good to see the demonisation of left-handed people is still ongoing, even in the 21st century. How old am I? 45. Going on 46. It's illegal to smoke in videos. Or it's not illegal. And I was smoking a cigarette. It's illegal to smoke in videos. I hope so. Yes. I went into rehab, into treatment for latter stage alcoholism just before I was 27. And it was optional to smoke. There was no caffeine. There was no access to the internet, but you could smoke if you wanted to. And I really would like it if they'd not allowed smoking, because I was only there for 3 weeks, and 3 weeks without smoking would have done me plenty of good. And most people were free to leave if they wanted to, so if they couldn't hack it, they could have just gone. And I think if nobody smoked there, I would have been a lot better off. Hello, UMAC. It's illegal to smoke in videos. Am I allowed to vape? I made a decision today that I'm not going to vape anymore, dry herb vape cannabis, because I did it earlier, and I think where I'm mixing it with the hydrocodone, it was what it's doing when I'm vaping is it's actually it's like accentuating the pain in my spine and my joints. And I've always I've justified it by saying, and I don't think it's always been the case, but in many cases it's I said that already, right? And I just was like making excuses and justifying it and being like, well, I need to be, conscious of where I've got pain in my body, rather than say like dissociating from it or whatever. But it's like I think it's actually doing that as well. Right. I have oil. I'm like supremely lucky to be able to make cannabis oil and use it liberally on my body and put it in my tea and coffee, and use it in cooking. And I actually quite like cooking with cannabis because I have a medical prescription from a medical herbalist to use cannabis. So I think I'm going to not vape anymore, because I've been vaping for 2 years, and it's been 2 years since I last burnt it. So I'll keep my vaporizer, but I'm going to crack on more with oil, I believe. How's everyone doing? Are you okay? Like, I don't tend to watch live streamers, so I wonder, like, what's the interest? Because I got followed by somebody earlier who their YouTube is like they clip live streamers, and then they're not crediting the live streamer that they're clipping, and then they're clipping them and then writing nasty things about them. And I don't think that should be allowed. There's a lot of my videos where there's an argument to say that I could cut a lot of bits down into shorts. I have so many live streams here, and they've been done at all different times, and there is just too much, and I unlist a lot of things and then put them so that they're in playlists in chronological order, and just but even though there's a big quantity, so not everything's going to be brilliant. Do you know what? Obviously, like, some of it's really good, but it's like, I probably need to sit there and like clip things into shorter, manageable pieces, or somebody else could do that if they wanted. They're not going to do it for nothing. But when your sole purpose of your YouTube channel is to clip streamers and then repost their material without even crediting them and write nasty things about them as well, I just think you're not of service to anybody. Like, it's actually probably bullying, probably like online bullying. Umac1717 asks me if I am a Muslim. Am I Muslimina? Are you asking that because I've got Quran? Or are you asking that, like, what's your reason for asking? Oh, okay, bye. If this decided to go. The thing is, if I answer no, then, I'm just going to say no because I'm not religious and I don't. But I do think Muhammad was a prophet. yeah, I just think that Islam has got major issues where they allow child marriage in half the world. And then to justify it, they say that the Prophet married a 9-year-old. And I don't think that's true. And I don't think the existence of a hadith that was written some 250 years after Aisha passed away, saying that Aisha said da da da. That cannot be used as justification. I just don't believe it's true. Historians put the age of Aisha at marriage at 19, and I don't think there is any evidence that she was 6 or 9, other than this hadith. So for no one in the Islamic world for the last pretty much like 1250 years has bothered to say actually this hadith is a load of trash, and even to this point today, where there are Muslims that are they're not coming out in defense of the Prophet. I think you're slandering your Prophet to say that he prepared a 6-year-old for marriage. I don't know how you can justify that in your minds, and how you can allow that to go on in half of the world. It's just completely unnatural, and this is why we have laws against, we have like a minimum age of marriage in this country, which I think is 16. And like, if a 16-year-old was marrying a 50-year-old, people would definitely have their concerns. So did I say 15? So I meant 16. Alex Chug 94 is asking me to wish his friend or her friends Nick Gar happy birthday. Their friend. Can I wish your friend Nick Gar happy birthday, please? Yes, Nick Gar. Have a very wonderful day. Many happy returns. Congratulations on completing one more year. And you have a really good friend, Alex. Nick Gar, you guys are wrong. All right, you guys are gonna have to go for user and time out. You guys are freaking wrong, man. You have a really good friend in Alex, okay? I hate you, man. It's fine. I said I was doing requests. I mean, I'm going to make a controversial comment here. Like, there was a Reddit post the other day where somebody managed an open mic, and they were saying it's been going really well, and they had something like 20 performers at their last open mic, and these guys are coming up and rapping. There are 2 white kids that they established were like from the trailer park because their mum was with them. So they were obviously young, very young for their mum to be with them. And they went up on stage and they were dropping the N-word all over the place. And I think they were told to stop. So if I remember it, and the guy was asking, like, did I do the right thing? And everyone was 100% in support to cut their mic and everything. And I wanted to comment and say, I think you should have some continuity with these guys and maybe contact them, outside of that gig, and sort of say, it's okay for you to come and perform, but it's not okay for you to use the N-word. The problem is that you cannot take. I don't use the N-word, and I don't believe I ever have called anyone on the N-word, and I wouldn't, because I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, and I wouldn't see any reason to do that. But if you're going to have a hip hop caucus or event or whatever it's called, like a gathering, and everyone else there that is dark skinned, black, however you self describe, they're all allowed to say the N word, but these 2 white kids are not, and they're all listening to this music. I just don't think you can justifiably say this group of people are allowed to use the N word, but this group of people are not allowed to use the N word. All of them listening to the same music, which in many instances use the N word prolifically, and then expect these 2 white kids to not use the N word. Everyone else is allowed to use it but them. So it's like, and like no one said that in the comments, and then I couldn't actually find the thread again to comment later and say, why not just see them outside of the show and let them know it is okay, because apparently their mum was really not happy. And like the feeling in the comment section was that this is kind of an unbreakable rule, everybody knows this. I don't think it is that obvious, actually. I mean, it's obvious to someone like me sat over here in the UK, but to a couple of kids in the US, I don't think it's all that obvious. I don't know what you think about that, but can you say happy birthday to my friend Nick Gurr? I did that by accident, guys. By accident, people. Say then. So I know probably, judging by what I read on Reddit, nobody agrees with me. The only people who can use the N word are black rappers. I mean, I just don't think how can you think that's progress? White people are not allowed to use the N word. I don't want to. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from a white person. But at the same time, to make that hard and fast rule that you're going to cut the mic off these kids for using the N words when everybody else that was there that night was probably they're allowed to use it, but these kids are not allowed to use it. I just think I don't think that's progress myself. Actually, tell a lie. There was once I used the N words because I said someone used a description bipolar, and I equated that to nigger, and they got really upset and blocked me, and I was like, well, it's a slur. It's just the bipolar, or I personally find that a slur myself. But then I used the N word incorrectly, did I? So silly. Because real racial violence is I don't feel like there's two white kids up there using the N word prolifically. It might be bad taste, but I don't think that's racial violence. I think that's just imitation, and it probably was unwise. But my point is, like, these two white kids, there was quite a lot of references about their mum and kind of where they were from, and I'm sure they 100% feel like niggers and 100% call each other nigger. Now, I know that is like, I don't know, man. I just feel like that it's understandable that they would do that together. I don't think they meant any harm. And like, so that's all really. And this from a French word, right? And I just think if you guys in America want to move on, then get rid of the word. And you can't probably do that. It's too much in your vernacular. So don't be surprised if a couple of white kids from a trailer park call each other the N-word. And I'm not really circumspect, and they do it publicly. Because that's what they hear. They hear that in the music all the time. They probably call it themselves, each other, that word. Let's go back to comments. People are not sticking around. That's okay. Does anyone want to do requests while you're here? Why do you tune into live streamers? Generally, like kind of the guy that helped me the most with live streaming was Zero Gravity in 2020, and the last I heard he was in rehab. And he was in rehab for a very long time because that was the nature of the rehab, that he was going to be there a very long time. And then all of a sudden, I didn't hear from him. And we were very good friends. Hello. Hello. Yes, you were here the other day. I'm very bored. Shall I choose a book that I actually don't do Quran? I don't want to try and read Quran out loud. And this one's quite difficult. Some answer questions. But I want to read something. I don't want to read the Kitab al-Aqdas. It's going to narrow it down. We're kind of really left with two choices of King James version of the Bible. I mean, we can do the dictionary if you want, or this one, my prayer book. I'm looking for something to do. I want to hang out with. My boyfriend broke up with me again. like 8 times in 2 years. His daughter was screaming at me, "You're fucking mental, you're not his ex-girlfriend," about a month ago. So that's good to know that somebody I've been sleeping with for 2 years, that I dated for 4 months before we started having sex, is not my ex-boy. I'm not his ex-girlfriend. It's cool. And I don't think that situation is going to change very much until I leave here, because we have sex out every 3 months and then break up. It's bullshit, to be honest. It's not done me any favours at all. I look very much better with makeup. And I'm quite a low-key, laid-back person, and I prefer not to have to wear it, and I don't have to wear it. It's just that when I don't, my skin tone is so, a lot of transparency in the skin and whatnot. Thin skin. Everybody went, okay, bye-bye, everybody. I mean, I can recall, like, Zero used to do these streams for, like, hours and hours before he would kind of get interactions, and I'm not giving you a great deal right now, am I? Hello. I made some very bullshit statements in the past, trying to speak on racism, just simply because for a long time, well, I need to, like, for a long time, I think I didn't realise that racism extended beyond kind of a skin colour and nationality type thing, right? And then I thought, I suppose, like, technically, like, it would be kind of exclusively, the name sort of suggests that it would, but it's a lot wider than that. Well, I suppose you're going to break them down into, like, hatred of people with disability, ableism, or, sexism, whatever. But I've been, like, very sheltered in the sense of, like, staying at home a lot, and I just, like, haven't, if I don't see a thing very often or at all, then I kind of assume that it's not like current, and I was, like, so far wrong there. There was a time, and it was a long time ago, that I was waiting outside a kebab shop for my food, and there's a snooker bar place, like, above the kebab shop, and I was standing outside, and there was a man who was coming down the road, and he said to these guys that were outside the snooker club, "Where could you get some chicken?" He looks kind of like Caribbean English, but dark, and then they started laughing at him about the chicken, and I took ages to realise they were not together, that they didn't know each other. The beer belly, skinhead, denim clad, homogenous white guys, middle aged white men, were taking the piss out of this young black man because he was wanting to know where to get chicken. And the young black man turned around and walked back up the road out of town. And it all seemed to happen, like, in slow motion for me. Number one, he's not from around here, he doesn't know where to buy food. He's also heading the wrong way out of town to get any food. I don't know if that kebab shop sells chicken wings or not, but I think it probably does. Not that I ever go in there and buy chicken. And I remember that I was so, like, frustrated by that situation because I hadn't understood what was happening quickly enough to take any action. And in his defence, say to him, "Oh, fuck off to these guys. Yeah, you can get chicken in here, or or there's such and such a place down the road." So, so yeah, so, like, that was maybe like more than 10 years ago. And you know, that's revolting. And I'm not going to miss those type of men when they die from all the vaccines that they've had. I don't believe that depopulation will do this planet any harm at all. It'll be good in the long run. So, yeah, I've definitely tried to talk on this before without any basis for it at all. It's just the fact of it is, I don't believe in race. I don't believe that if someone is a different colour to me, that they're a different race. I don't believe that if someone is male and I'm female, that we are different. We're human beings and come from the same stock. And so I just don't. What the issue is I don't really believe in the concept of race. And no one can really convince me otherwise. I have had people try to convince me otherwise that race like actually exists, and I'm like, I'm not buying that. I think we come from the same seed, and maybe different features developed over literally millions and millions, billions of years. Okay, and you know, we're on the northern hemisphere, we're pale. Southern hemisphere, they're dark. That could have happened over billions of years. I don't think there's any real evidence to suggest that like there are different races of men and women. I just don't. I'm not buying it. It's just because it's not an issue for me. You know, it's a huge jump to then assume that it's not an issue for anybody. But I am an idealist, and I spend too much time alone. But at least I don't have to get harassed too much if I do that. I said there are other types, there are other forms of hatred towards people other than, you know, haters are going to hate, right? I'm trying to find a prayer here where he says, Thou hast created humanity from the same stock. Thou hast created all of humanity from the same stock. I don't know where it is in here. David Miller, I'm from Hungary. What is the situation here? I hope all of you have got a nice day. Yes. Hello. I mean, it's not been bad at all, I suppose. I got up very early and I finally got my script, so I stopped being ill because it made me very ill, and that's how I ended up breaking up with my boyfriend, because he failed to text me good night between 4 p.m. when we last were texting each other, and whenever he went to bed between 11 and 12, he didn't think to text me good night or I'm going to bed. And so then I got this angry message saying, "Oh, you've woken me up, I've got a headache." And I was like, "Well, you should have texted me good night." So I knew what was going on. But I didn't exactly put it like that. I said some other stuff. But he knew I was doing a hydrocodone withdrawal, like all of a sudden, that wasn't planned, and you know, and it made me ill. Like I was ill. So what can I say? But you know, like I said, this has happened 8 times in the last 2 years. I think it's 8 times. It may be more than that. March, June, September, December, March, June, September, December. 9. I think that's the 9th time that we've got together and then broke up. Dave Miller. Yeah, I'm sorry for the breakup as well, because we dated platonically for 4 months. And what I mean by that is we were hanging out at each other's homes 3 to 4 times a week between November 2023 and when we finally had sex on February 29th. Obviously, when I remember that date, it's a leap year, 2024. We dated platonically, regularly, 3-4 times a week, 3-4 months. And then 2 weeks later, we broke up. And now I haven't smoked weed in 2 years, and he's carried on smoking weed. So it just has not done me any good, really. Like I'm sort of like, I feel like if you're going to sleep with somebody, that it's that serious that you should stay together. And I've just never been treated like that by a man before. I've never gone to my boyfriend's home after 4 months of dating platonically and 2 weeks of sleeping together, go to his home, tell him I'm hungry. I was on an extremely low income at that time, and I happened to be very late, so in that time he hadn't even, there was no milk even in the house for a cup of tea, and he lied to me and told me that he didn't have money to buy food. It wasn't even about him buying it. I just said, shall we get a takeaway? I don't have any money. And that was just a lie. And so I was like, we could have gone to Greggs and got a jacket potato for like £7, but he didn't want to go with me. So I went to Wetherspoons on my own, and he phoned me and was like, where are you? And I was like, well, I'm at Wetherspoons having a meal. And he's like, are you coming back? And I was like, no, because you wouldn't come for a meal with me. But and then we broke up over the space of about a week because he just didn't see that there was anything wrong with that. And like, honestly, I wasn't even asking him to pay for it. I just said I need food, like, and that was just like, for him, I think he took that like I wanted him to pay, but that wasn't even the issue. But to sit there and lie and say you don't have the money, so he tried to tell me he didn't even have the money to take his son to eat the following night. And this is all just lies. So sometimes I thought that this whole situation's been quite orchestrated to keep me in that position of like just kind of slay my self-esteem in that way. But when I first met him, he was in a band that was signed, but it's nothing major. And by the time we broke up, he was being signed to a major label. And I think in that period of time, he might have felt like I wasn't good enough for him anymore, or whatever. But for his daughter to be screaming at me, "You're fucking mental, you're not his ex-girlfriend," it's like, that again shows he has said things to her. Like, and for me not to be his ex-girlfriend after we dated for 4 months, and we have continued having sex for the last 2 years. So if I'm not his ex-girlfriend, he doesn't, for him, sex is like, it doesn't equate at all to any kind of commitment. This town is way too small to sleep with somebody like that and then buoy them off, because it's a really small town here, and he lives about 150 meters that way, and drinks coffee 150 meters that way, which is where we met. So that's the middle of town, and I'm in the middle of town, but so I see him week after week after week, and just that kind of, even though it's me that broke up with him because I felt as though he was seriously undermining my self-esteem. Like, you might think it's really, really petty, but it was fundamentally, I felt that when he smoked weed, he was really distant. Like, there was no connection during sex even. And then I've not smoked weed for 2 years, and I'm in a much better place for that. And I think actually, if he'd taken my advice, he would be in a better place. Because I said to him, you're spending like easily like coffee, where he gets a coffee that's like £5 a cup. So he could easily spend minimum 5 or like average £5 a day on a coffee, and he burns a lot of grass. So I would say in the region of maybe even up to £100 a week. And I'm saying to you, let me turn this weed into oil, or get a green card, or vape. You're just going to use a lot less weed, and then you're not going to be claiming property, even though you work in construction and you're signed to Sony, and you're a literal homeowner that drives a BMW and has a van. And these are assets. I don't even think he's got a mortgage. But yeah, so it was just like a load of trash to like say I don't have money to feed my son tomorrow night, let alone the takeaway. And it's like, I get it, like takeaways are more expensive, but we live in the middle of town. We can go to Greggs and I'll buy a sandwich. It was not about him buying the food. It was about the fact that he was lying to me, and I just never had a partner that was like, fuck you, bitch. you're not eating. You've come here for sex. That's all. And there's been like at least there's been 3 occasions when he's come here, got a blowjob, and then just left. And there was one occasion when he came in here and he was in my bed and he wanted head. And I said to him, "There's a cash machine outside, or I take PayPal," and he went home. He describes that as me throwing him out. This is not a bar. I am not a bouncer. If you want to come here, you want to ask for a blowjob, I'm not your girlfriend, I'm not even your ex-girlfriend, and I say, fine, but £50, and then you go, that's not me throwing you out. He also gave me instructions on how to give him head the first time I gave him head. And I sat here, he sat there, and I sat over there because my sofa was over the other side. And I sat there and said no for 15 minutes. And I said, in the end, I said, you know what, Justin, you've given me the choice. Okay, how do you want it done? I'm grateful for the instruction because I was very, very bad at giving head before that. I embarrassed him, I think, because he likes it a lot. But his world would be a lot calmer if he wants to have sex every 3 months, and that's all. He should be putting his hand in his pocket paying me, because if I'm not his ex-girlfriend, then all I am is an unpaid prostitute. And then we had sex 2 weeks later. Yeah, I gave him head and he went home. And then 2 weeks later we had sex because it really wound me up. I'd been waiting for I wanted to wait 3 months to get a STD check. In that time he said he didn't need one. Well, by the taste of his tum he did. But Dave Miller said he's used me. Yeah, well, he's not only used me, but I think he likes this situation, works just fine for him. He probably doesn't have the same kind of appetite that I've got for sex, kind of a little unoften person. And I think if he could have sex with me more often, like maybe once a month, he probably would. But I think the situation suits him just fine. That he, because after the last time we had sex was in December. It was like boxing. It was like the crossover. It was like Christmas Day night or something, and we had sex, and then, or it was Boxing Day. I forget which one it was. But then it was my birthday, like 2-3 days later. Not even a text on my birthday. So since we've been dating, 3 Christmases have gone by. 3 of my birthdays have gone by. Nothing at all. Like, and it's just that all I'm saying is it speaks volumes. Like, to me at least, I do feel like this situation suits him, and it's not going to end until I go, because I have a threshold as well for like how often I can see my ex in town and sit at home on my own, especially as someone that did start having sex very, very young, and it's, this is not a situation where I want to move in with him or him move in here. I want us to keep our own places and just him keep me in the loop. Like, you're going to text me at 4 p.m. and then not text me before you go to bed just to let me know you're going to bed. Don't send me a shitty message at like 12:30 or 12 saying you woke me up, oh, now I've got a headache. Just if you'd sent me a message before you went to bed, then I would have known and I wouldn't have messaged you later on. So yeah, I think it suits him really well. Since there's no one here, it's fine. But then I look at my own side of things, and I think I was really unsure about being with him in the first place, because I found him really uncouth in a lot of ways. Like, he especially back then, was very coarse, and me personally, I don't think that like a relationship, if it becomes sexual, that just automatically means you're committed anyway. It's just that I ended up compromising my standards, because my standards are unreachable for somebody of my age and my background. And the fact that I have disability, of chronic illness and physical handicaps, and head injuries, I'm not even going anywhere to meet anybody. So to get together with somebody that lives in my town, like, it's not good. It's not a good situation at all. Yeah. So it just, yeah, it's really frustrating because now, since I can say 2 years ago I was uncertain about being with him, but I would say now I'm like really down for it. It's just that he has slagged me off to a lot of people, and that's primarily the problem because now he can't really be seen with me in public, and he's saying that it's not him, that it's me. But I'm like, well, yeah, I think I was really unsure about being with him in the first place, and then after the initial time that we had sex, it was a real buzz. After that, I found him really distant, and I put it down to him smoking green. So there's no way we could have stayed together in this time and it'd be fine because I would have carried on smoking green or carried on being unhappy with him smoking green. It just so happens the last couple of times that we were together, this last week, he was using my vaporizer, and I just found him way more personable when he was doing that. There's been issues in the last year where he's come here and he smokes green out the window, and even if like, or he smoked green in this room, and then like I'm inhaling the secondhand stuff, and it's really negative for me. So I kind of hoped, he would get a vaporizer. He would just take no like consultation with me whatsoever. Like if I'm trying to consult, then does that put his nose out of joint? Does it? I mean, like, I don't mind people telling me what to do. Quite honestly, if it's a sensible opinion, but it's not like that. I'm just from the point of view of having a consultation, be, honest with you. You feel really distant from you when you smoke weed. There's no connection with you. When you vape, use my vape. It's way better. Way better. David, the sun is up every day, lady. Don't worry. Thanks. Hello. Yeah, so I suppose what I really need to learn is don't be pressured into well, it's so easy to say this, right? If I sit here and go, don't be pressured into having sexual relations with somebody, it's not, it's like wasted breath. This is a small town. I don't know, wasn't that into him, and he probably felt that as well. But I don't know. I think what was the other takeaway from this? Because that's what goes on, isn't it? Like we don't have sex in a few months, and then you see each other all the time. Repeating myself. Sorry. Hello. Shall I go? I'm just bored. I've got no one to sit with. Let's call it a thing because I'm tired now. I think when it comes to like sex and stuff with me, like I'm having sex since I was extremely young, so trying to learn lessons like don't sleep with guys that you're not that into. Don't be pressured into having sex with people before you're ready. It's kind of pointless. It's just gonna. I agree wholeheartedly. It caused me so much pain for so many years because my ideals and my behaviour were polar. But my ideals came not from my upbringing, but from what I eventually got taught in church. And I was like, I just had no concept that sex outside marriage was a sin. My mum bred horses and dogs and things, and it's like lots of people having sex with each other. And then at 18, they're like, I asked the pastors in my church, what's fornication mean? And I was like, oh shit, you have to get married first? And that was a pretty cruel lesson to give me at 18. Caused me a lot of harm, actually. Never mind. Let's not feel too sorry for me. Should I keep going? because I remember Zero Out that he used to do really long live streams before he would, you know, get whatever. This time I do think Zero Out that he is gone to heaven. When he gone to rehab, I was worried that he'd passed away. Well, not worried. I actually was the opposite. Worried that I was trying to find him. And then eventually he got hold of me and he said, I'm in treatment. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. Because his whole family are intravenous drug users and drug smokers. And so it was really impossible for him to stay clean at home. It was dangerous, actually. And I know he's due to come out soon, but just like when I lost contact with him last year, I felt like maybe this time he has passed on, like, just for being my friend. Like, that doesn't make a great deal of sense. It sounds like I'm completely delusional. But if he turns out to be alive and well here now, like, that's great. I'm not gonna. You're dead. No, just like, you know, he's my friend, so he would be a target. Or he was like he felt that our friendship wasn't helpful to him at that time, moving forwards, and decided to cut contact. And that may also happen because technically we used drugs together in the past. We like smoked weed together online a lot, and like that is also as likely. It's just that he's in the USA, and it's just really easy to, you know, get rid of someone over there, and so maybe I'm being paranoid. Anyway, whatever the actual thing that's happened to Zorro, he's fine. He's better moving on. Like, I'm not hung up on it. I was just curious about it. So yeah, I should sort my head out. Really, of course, he's not passed away. He's just doing his own thing, and he probably needs to because he's got quite a number of baby mamas, and you know, he probably needs less women in his life anyway. Hello, Mr. Lucker, Mrs. Lucker. I think I've reached my limit of being able to sit here. My capacity for sitting on arthritis in my spine has been reached. Thanks for joining me because I'm like bored. There's like nowhere to go, especially in the town that I live in. After 6:30 p.m, there's nowhere to just get coffee and have like a cheap meal and sit indoors. I'm not considering Wetherspoon's the same thing because they serve alcohol, whereas obviously coffee shops don't. So to live in a town where there's not a single coffee shop open after 6 p.m. that sells a bit of food and doesn't sell alcohol is extremely boring for people that don't want to go out and just be surrounded by social drinkers or whatever they are. It's really boring. So, and I don't have money anyway to go out. What is that? Not that I would spend money going out, but I might. Oh, I don't know. I'd buy a packet of cigarettes or something. Like I have these, and I do not have the money to get more. I get paid on Monday. I just have like so many bills and whatnot. Especially when my welfare went up last year, my welfare started going up in June 2024, and the first thing I did was pay off loads of council tax debt, and then they turned around and almost exempted me completely from council tax, but not until after they'd taken all this money. So it's just, you know, how it is. Like every time you get your welfare check, it's pretty much just going straight out into bills and everything, and it just doesn't go far. And especially like because I buy, you know, sort of different things that are for my health as opposed to the expensive things that I buy, like such as cigarettes or tobacco that are not good for my health. That's just as I started smoking when I was extremely young, and it's very frustrating because if I had not who started smoking extremely young, the money that I burn would really be so useful to me. But I can't go back in time and change the situation. And I can't sit here and not, use tobacco when I'm just here alone at home, unemployed, with pain. It's not a great time to start trying to change a 30-year drug habit. To try and take that money and go and see someone to get their hands on my body. So I think it'll probably kill me anyway fairly shortly. Like, just because I'm so salty, I bring up so much fluid off my chest, and it's so incredibly salty. There's so much of it, and smoking, like once I really got into smoking at sort of age 14, the way it made me ill so quickly was unusual. But I didn't. My mum was running the household, and she had a lot on her plate, so a lot of things didn't get followed up on. And I'll leave, and I love you, whoever you are, or at least I offer you some peace. I appreciate you babysitting me. I think this is what this has been. Here's the thought. Another thing about not going out and like not meeting people and so on is I just never know what's going on. But I did bump into someone yesterday, and they told me about this group that's just started. But so at least I did find out a thing that was going on here. I need surgery. I need to remove the metal from my ovaries. Like, really fucked me. They incapacitated me badly. I already had a lot going on, and I think it's difficult for people to fathom it because they're like, "Oh, it would have been sorted out by now," and it's like I can't force them. And if I can't join an NHS waiting list for gynecology because all of the 6 hospitals that serve this area are maxed out for 6 months and I can't join it, and then in that space of time I've moved areas and moved back again. Like, if and so, all right, well, it's just, difficult because I do refer to the pain on my ovaries as torture, and I do identify that I have torture sessions with it, and it is on my reproductive organs, so you can dial in there. It's very painful. Oh, I'm delusional because I think I'm being tortured remotely, utilising metal in my pelvis. No one's saying that to me. No one's saying that to me, but then I can't prove it. Otherwise, I can't prove that I'm being tortured with the metal inside of me. And anyway, if I can't prove that I'm not being tortured, but it's not constipation. I've had pain and swelling every day since it was done. Thank you, Drawing Gaming. You should watch a video. You should go to a playlist called Now and put on the last video in there, which I think is called In Defense of Twisted Dreadlocks, because I was explaining that the fall from my locks is because of my hair type. It's nothing to do with my locksmith, my dreadlock technician. And that was literally like 3 hours ago or something. I look dreadful, so I appreciate you saying I look gorgeous. It's very nice of you. Peace out, people. Group hug, and I will catch you later. Thanks for being here. Bye. Oh, what's my channel about? Piss support, man. Today it's about that, I think. Well, it's somewhere between vlogging and some performance-based stuff. I think it's really messy at the moment, even though I've been putting stuff in playlists. The trouble is, I had a head injury. I'm just going to call it a head injury. I had temporal lobe head injuries, and it's coming up for 20 years ago. So I can speak, but prior to that, I was an English scholarship student to my secondary school, and I graduated with a degree in creative studies in English, and had my poetry was being published every time I sent it places. I had an online exhibition which got 10,000 views in 2008 online. With that stuff was already written. It was after my head injuries, I went online, and it changed everything for me. Like, my head, I used to have a lot of chit chat in my head, but not in a bad way. Like, I could kind of just talk to myself loads in my head, and then my head became like a Greek auditorium and just nothing, silence, like pin drop. And it happened all over again a couple of years later, but instead of being a one-off, well, it wasn't, it was building up to a severe assault. But then I went back to the guy, like within a couple of years, and it happened multiple times. It was very, very bad. And that was so long ago now. So my point is that the residual, it's actually a type of learning disability, and it's also a type of deafness, aphasia. Aphasia is the umbrella. So I know aphasia means no language, and dysphasia means difficulty producing language, but the umbrella term is aphasia. Some people who are actually deaf also have aphasia. So some people who went deaf when they were older, they would still be able to hear themselves, they would be able to hear words in their head. But somebody that's born deaf, they also have aphasia, but they can't hear the words in their head. So then they've got deafness, and then they've also got this learning disability of aphasia. And some people get it through having a stroke, some people have it otherwise, head injuries, etc. So, but I got diagnosed with schizophrenia because they said they thought I looked like I was hearing voices. So, if that will be well. But there was a profound change, and it took an extremely long time to recover. And so my point is, the videos, the live streams, and everything that I've got on here, I'll look at them and be like, I have no idea what this is about. I just don't remember them after I've done that. So the main residual thing that I've got is like very poor memory for sound, because our memory is made up of our 5 senses. So if you damage somebody, one of their senses, their memory will be impaired somewhat. So you say, what's my channel about? It's a bit of a mess at the moment. I feel like I have a responsibility to make it more tidy. It's pretty difficult. I live with chronic pain, and I live alone, and I live in a reasonably noisy location, and I'm here a lot alone. So sometimes, especially I think like a month or so ago, when there was all the Epstein file dump and everything as well, because I was collating those videos into a playlist at the time, and stressful. I was looking at some of my work, and I was just like, bloody hell, I'm just like one word to another, it's not really making a great deal of sense. So I don't really want to like inflict loads of that on people, because I'd rather only present to you stuff that I think is like palatable. But even having said that, like, some of my good work is unlisted and just in playlists, and some of my work is unlisted and in playlists because it's there as a record, but it probably isn't that consumer friendly. So I don't really know how to guide you to say, oh, you should see this video or that video, but there's a lot of peer support going on as well. And also, I didn't really intend to continue with this, like, in some respects, there's probably other things I should be doing, and I might get around to them, but I have a lot of issues where I'm living. I have a lot of issues with not having them. I can't seem to get my money out of my home. Like, I own this flat, and I've been trying to sell it since 2020, and without having any cash to get the things I need that are not available on the NHS, it's difficult. And then I'm not staying sober and things like that. So it's okay. So I don't have to do anything else anyway. I don't have to do anything like I'm not trying to contradict, faith without works is dead. It's not like that. It's not like I have a recurring lesson in my life, which is I don't have to, because there's a lot of things I had to just go along with when I was very young that were extremely inappropriate, and that person kind of, was usurping God really by doing that to a young child. So that's why I think I had a recurring lesson. Like, in terms of like religion and whatnot, like if I was Muslim or as a Baha'i or anything like that, I'm actually exempted from obligatory prayer. If I'm exempted year after year from obligatory fasting, I am therefore also exempted from daily obligatory prayer. And it wasn't always like that. I used to do it, and then eventually I got kind of convicted that I wasn't even supposed to be doing that. So it's not all bad. And I have a daughter who I'm just going to go on the record and say I love you so much. You're everything to me, girl. Beep. And you know, hopefully she'll do some things. But you know what's scary is like when a man chooses to treat his children in that way, because I don't know what he did to my brothers, and I'm sure he didn't spare my little half sisters. Just doesn't end with that. Like the consequences in my own life have been horrific. Then my child is removed from me, so it seems to go on. I don't know, like it doesn't. This kind of sin against children doesn't seem to just end when that person dies. Well, maybe it's because he was a Freemason and there does seem to be some kind of generational curse there, but I can, you know, be like, oh, I'm under the covenant now, I'm under a blessing. And it's like, I still have all of my real past still exists and everything, still having consequences. So I don't know. Will I marry you? 3 in gaming last week? Yes. Officially, yes. But I think you'll find me challenging to live with. Let's put it that way. And you also need to have quite a lot of money because at this point in my life, my upkeep is pretty expensive. So I don't have the money. So, or we could just get wasted together. I don't know. But it's getting dark, and I think I got from this what I needed to get from it. And I appreciate you guys because I'm not taking the piss when I say this is peer support. Like this is what this is. And I'm sure to say, because I said all that stuff, I do have hope for the future. I have hope for my future, hope for my mum, my daughter, my brothers, my sisters, my stepmom, you guys, and whoever you are, wherever you are, you people, and the future of the planet and mankind. And I don't think that's common to have that. I'm not saying I feel it like on a you know, it will ebb and flow thing, but I think a lot of people are really not confident for the future of the planet, and I think it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But overall, I have hope. So that's good, right? That puts me in a good position. It's getting dark. I will go. Does anyone want to say anything before I go? Do you want me to follow your channel? Am I able to do that? Do you upload? Thanks for your comments. Touch on. We touch on. We touch off. We touch on. Just a bit blurry, isn't it? We touch off. Well, I've already blurred with the makeup, so all is well. Good evening. I will speak to you later on, and I'm like happy to stay, but you need to comment. Otherwise, I can't just keep it going on my own. But I'm also happy to go and let you go too. 5, 4, 3. Shall I move along? Have a very, 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 very happy weekend. Alright, bye from me.